Distinguished Ambassador Lee, distinguished State Secretary Nida, distinguished guests and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be invited to join this Belt and Road Conference in this beautiful city of Bratislava. It was actually my second time to be here, because almost at this time last year, I was here as a member of a Chinese delegation that was seeking for the opportunity to have a more and more train to Slovakia. We actually was warmly received by the colleagues from the Slovakia Ministry of Transportation and Construction. We started our journey actually from Bratislava, and then we went to Kosice, we went to Dobra, we went to Žilina, and we actually had many discussions along the journey. So I was very delighted to be here again. Like many other things undergoing in China, we see every year, there is a lot of change happening on CR Express project as well. When we say CR Express, which means actually China Railway Express, the name was actually announced by China Railway in year 2016. But actually the first train was arriving in Europe in year 2011, which was sent by a Chinese city in Chongqing. It's actually in West China. But I have to say, in the first 3 or 4 years, this project did not catch too much attention from the local community here, because we are talking about maybe only dozens of trains every year. Significant change actually happened after year 2016, when China, the National Reform and the Committee announced that there will be this year 2016 to year 2020 program for CR Express project to develop. And then after year 2016, we have more and more trains comes and go every year, which is actually sometimes even create a congestion at the European border. And then people started to wonder whether this volume will continue to increase or it will someday stop. But at the same time, some other people also start to make the calculation on the potential income and then the business opportunity of these trains might bring. So I think, if I may conclude, the key question is really whether this project will be something sustainable. And for many people, it is important not to just have a simple answer of yes or no, but also to understand the logic behind it. Another topic is how this project could contribute more to European society, how European companies can benefit from this CR Express project. Here I'm not only talking about the railway company or transportation agent from Europe who is already engaged in arranging the transportation, for example, from Brest and Mala to Germany or to Poland or in Slovakia. Here I'm also talking about a European company who can actually use this CR Express to develop a more business opportunity with China and with also its neighboring countries like Korea, like Japan, because we are talking about a logistic product that actually speeding up the cargo flow, and also it can help people to decrease the stock and then to improve the money efficiency. So we are talking about this kind of commercial product. But today we see actually a lot of discussion is happening between railway and the railway, between government and government. We actually see there is very few discussion with the company involved, especially when we talk about how to develop the local market here, for example in Slovakia and also in Central Eastern Europe and also in whole European Union. So I think this is why I'm here today, more or less. And I hope I can give you some insights. There will be 4 parts in my agenda, a brief introduction of this project, and then the impetus behind the project, very important to help people understand why it works, the driving force behind it. And then we are talking about the challenge of this project. And then we are talking about how Europe and China can work together on this project. Here you have this slide showing the figure actually. Sorry. As you can see from year 2011, this figure is very small. And then in year 2013, when the Chinese President Xi Jinping for the first time introduced this Belt and Road initiative, but actually it takes few years to warm up And then this trend becoming a hot topic since year 2016. You will see actually the volume is increased almost double every year. Until the end of last year, we are talking about 6,376 trains, according to the announcement from China Railway and also Chinese Customs. So from year 2011 to year 2018, China in total already sent 12,000 trains, both westbound and eastbound. And then, if we are looking at this figure actually including the number of trains sent from China to Europe, and also from China to Russia, from China to Belarus, and also the eastbound train. China also sent a lot of trains to Central Asia, like Kazakhstan, like Uzbekistan, but this part of the number is not included in the slides here. And then, if we look at the top-ranking cities, because we say in China now there are 56 Chinese cities sending the trains to maybe 49 cities in 15 European countries plus Russia. But if we look at the top-ranking cities in terms of volume, you will see all these cities actually in the central and in the west of China. So here you will have this figure. And actually, these 5 top-ranking cities is representing almost 80% of the total volume, both westbound and eastbound. And then, if we look at the main destination in Europe, we will see the most biggest one is Duisburg and Hamburg. And then we are talking about the Mala and the Loos. So these 4 destinations, if we make the calculation, we are talking about almost 55%. But if we include the volume to, for example, Duisburg, to Tilburg, to Netherlands, to Belgium, but on the same direction, we are talking about maybe 60% to 70%, which is heading to northwestern Europe plus Poland. So this explains exactly why Brest and Mala is the most favorite one, because we are talking about a short distance. We are talking about a much more convenient railway connection, truck connection. So when we talk about the possibility to have more trains to Slovakia, actually it doesn't really make sense if I dispatch trains from Slovakia, for example, to Germany. We have to develop the market here locally in Slovakia or in this area. And then this is the Chinese border. Chinese border actually, Dostik is actually the most biggest one. So here is actually the number 1. We are talking about almost 0.5% of the volume is sent from via Dostik for both westbound and eastbound. So looking at the figure, I understand actually people might start to think whether this volume will increase or not, because we already seen this significant increase in the past 3 years, and then last year we were talking about more than 6,000 trains. So people start to think whether for this year it will be double. I will say no, because I will explain later. And then we are talking about this driving force behind it, because many people is asking why this train can be sent, and then especially when the subsidy topic is involved, people get concerned because they fear maybe one day the subsidy will stop and then the train will stop. I will give a positive answer to this question, because I have several reasons. First, the CR Express project is one of the important phase projects within the scope of Belt and Road Initiative, because it first was the symbol for connectivity. It can represent China's view on connectivity, and then it is actually the public product initiated by China, but acquirable for all international community, which means that this project is not only dedicated for Chinese company, but also European company, Korean company, Japanese company. All the countries that is interested in this service can use this service. So this actually explains China's view on inclusiveness. And then, very important, this project is also triggering the business opportunity for all the countries along the Belt and Road. we are talking about infrastructure improvement, but we are not only talking about infrastructure improvement. As I said, all the companies along these Belt and Road countries, they can start to think how to use this service to have a better connection to Europe, to Russia, to Belarus, and then to China, to Japan, to Korea, to develop their own business opportunity. Second, the CR Express project is one of the key measures for the local governments in China to attract more investment. The top-ranking cities in China sending a CR Express train, as you can see, is all located in central and west China. When these remote provinces aim to convince companies to invest, one of the key challenges they are facing is the low efficiency of logistic investment arrangements. This is exactly something that has been discussed by, for example, this Chongqing government and the HP project, for example. When the Chongqing government tried to convince HP to invest in this city, and then HP said, okay, the city is very, very, let's say, land-blocked. And then if I want to send my products from manufactured in Chongqing to Europe, for example, and then I have to use the truck and then send to the South China coast, which is already 1,000 kilometers away. It means that, for example, you drive here from Bratislava, maybe to Netherlands or to Belgium. That might give you just a rough idea. And then Chongqing government says, okay, guys, if you agree to invest here, I can maybe create a rail corridor for you so that you can use this rail corridor to send your products via Kazakhstan and then to Europe. So this was actually the deal Chongqing government made with HP in year 2011 when they tried to convince HP to invest in Chongqing. So some people is actually asking, for example, how much subsidy or how much money Chongqing local government is investing to run this train business. And then they start to ask whether this product doesn't really make sense. But just imagine a single project like HP, all the job vacancies, all the tax income, all these kind of opportunities, this kind of project can create for this area. So you actually already have the answer. So it's actually good business. So the Chongqing government actually, they made this P&L, but just in a very different way. With the success of attracting HP project in Chongqing, many other Chinese cities also trying to follow the steps. So this is why you will see actually after year 2016, significant increase happened. Because all the Chinese cities, they want to catch up this road. They want to convince the companies to invest in their own city, in their own province. And then in this year, the China National Development and Reform Committee also issued this program. So more and more Chinese cities start to send the train. Some even start to competing with each other. So I will say, political motivation from the local government is really something pushing this project ahead. Then, with more and more trains launched, the service itself starts to be known and acknowledged by the open market, because in order to catch more volume, in order to send more trains, you cannot just focus on, for example, this particular project. You have to think about, for example, the volume from the other area. So these cities start to catch the volume, for example, even from the coastal area in China. But at the same time, the open market start to know this project. So many people start to think maybe I can also use this project. Why not? So it is actually becoming a logistic product, a unique product in between sea and air that can be acquired and used by the customer in the market. So I will say there is demand from the market that is also supporting this project. And then the last but not least, when we say today we already sent more than 6,000 trains last year to Europe or from Europe back to China. But if we look at its contribution to the trade between China and the EU 27, between China and Russia, its contribution to the trade is still very limited. Here you have a figure. So according to the Eurostat, in the first 3 quarters of last year, we are talking about almost $500 billion happened between EU 27 and China. And then we have almost 80 billion US dollars between China and Russia for the first 3 quarters of last year. And then if you look at the value of the goods carried by CI Express, which is really peanuts. So I will say there is still very good potential for this project to grow if we look at the size of the total market. But we are not talking about this project should be run continually in the way it is now. Because now we already have some issues. Because people is talking about, for example, the congestion, people is talking about the wagon, people is talking about the empty containers. Because we know that actually for the eastbound train, for example, from Europe back to China, still some empty containers was loaded onto the train because they do not have enough cargo to load them. So we are talking about this challenge. But among all these issues, I will say, I will start with this issue of congestion. When we talk about the congestion, I think people is talking about several things. One is the operational capacity at the border station, Brest and Mala. And then people is talking about the poor infrastructure that is pushing the limit on the operational capacity. We are talking about the possibility to renew the railway in Poland, for example, in Germany, for example. And then we are talking about the shortage of the wagon. And also we are talking about, for example, lack of coordination, planning and forecast. Because, for example, during the peak season, China starts to send a lot of trains suddenly without any pre-notice. And then all the railway companies in Europe, in Russia, they are not ready to receive so much mobile. So we are talking about a better information flow. I will say, all these issues are actually linked with each other. For a while, people discuss the wagon issue. For example, in China, people is pushing the railway companies to put more wagons in the market. They feel that if they can put enough wagons, then all this issue about congestion can be solved. And then some people in China is also very keen to invest wagons and maybe terminal by themselves, for example, in Europe or in Russia. But I don't really agree with it, because I have several factors. First, in Brest and Mala, actually it is an open market. There are several wagon owners that is operating, and each of them is only operates with its own client. So it can happen that, for example, the wagon is already waiting at the border, but its client, its cargo is not yet arrived. But at the same time, the other cargo is arrived, but it cannot load this wagon. So we are talking about actually the relative shortage. We are not talking about the extreme shortage. So same situation also happening at the Chinese border as well. And then today in Europe, as we just mentioned, that many wagons are sent back from Germany, for example, to Brest as empty because they do not have enough cargo volume. So I will say, existing rolling stock resources are not fully utilized. So in this case, why we should put more wagons, for example, on the rail tracks? And we also have additional issues like custom check because of the documents, because the customs system is different between China and Europe, between China and Russia. And then we are talking about the communication problem among all the parties. And then maybe too many middlemen in the service chain, too many brokers. And then, very interesting, we also see, for example, in railway, today, I really cannot imagine that today, some railway company still works with Telegram when we have this email, when we have this EDI system. So I will see in some particular area, there is lack of will to make change. But among all, I will say two things for me are really crucial. One is this imbalance of westbound volume and eastbound volume, because this is a really issue that is creating the consequence for many others, such as wagons, such as empty containers. And then the second thing, the total value carried by the CI Express train is still too low. The average figure per container is only around maybe 50 to 60,000 US dollars per container, which is, for me is very low. So these two issues are actually leading to the real question: who should be the right customer? We are talking about high-value customer. We are talking about the time-to-market customer. I say these customers are actually the right customer for CR Express project, and these customers, many of them are actually operating in Europe, which I will explain later. And then regarding the routes, it doesn't make sense for me. For example, if I send a train from a Chinese coast to a European coast, because there is already very good sea freight connection. Why we should send a train to competing with sea? Because you cannot competing the sea with the price. It makes sense for me, for example, if you send a train from inland to inland, which means that from western central China to eastern and central Europe. So if I may conclude for the part 3, I will say the CR Express project will require more and more international cooperation in order to find the right customers and new markets, for example, in Europe. I think today many discussions already happened between railway and railway customs and customs with the aim to facilitate the operation process. Some other areas should also be put into the consideration, such as, for example, environmental protection. I remember last year in Kosice when we had this event, one colleague from the local community is mentioning that, okay, we should put more and more attention to this packing materials that is loading in the container brought by the train from China to Europe in order to protect this ecological system in Europe. I fully agree, but I'm not the expert from that area. I'm also not the expert from the investment, not the official from the custom or the railway, so I cannot give more comments on that. But somehow I got a feeling that Europe's view on CR Express project is that this project is only dedicated for Chinese company. If China wants to send a train, what Europe is trying to do is just to support this project. For example, if you have this congestion issue at Bratislava, and then, for example, we can provide you another border terminal, you can use our terminal, you can use our facility, you can use our connection, for example, in Slovakia. But I think this is actually not enough. For example, myself, I've been in many logistics fair, forum, and then in China, in Europe, in Kazakhstan. We can have many foreign colleagues joining this event year by year. We can have a lot of discussion on many fields, but most of this discussion is about whether China will continue to send more trains. People discuss all the technical issues and trying to sell their solution. For example, when we talk about the congestion at Mala, as we say, people will start to ask whether China can use another route, whether China can use, for example, Dobra, use Kosice, use Bratislava, and then to dispatch the container from here to Germany to all the neighboring countries. If we look, but as I said, for this product, maybe I think European companies can develop something together with Chinese partner in terms of markets, in terms of finding right customers. If we look at the sea freight or air freight market, we will see most of import volume from China to Europe are actually under FOB good, which means that consignee in Europe is deciding the mode of transport. They are nominating the freight forwarder. They are paying for the freight. We are talking about at least 70% import volume from China to Europe is sold like this. And then if we look at the export volume from Europe back to China, the percentage is around 50%. It means that the key market for CR Express train for this project is really in Europe, not in China. And the CR Express project is not a service dedicated only for Chinese company, but European company can also use this service. We already have some European brands that tried, and some of them are using CR Express trains. For example, we have this fashion brand, H&M. We have this automotive brand, BMW, Volvo. But we definitely need more volume from such highly qualified clients. I heard that this month or next month, the German sports car maker Porsche is going to use CR Express train to send their sports car from Europe to Chongqing in China. But they are actually sending this train from Bremenhaven in Germany. And I heard actually some Porsche car actually manufactured here in Slovakia. Why we cannot send a train from here to China, for example? I think one of the reasons is that for many clients in Slovakia, in this area, they don't know what is this project. They don't know this product. So which means that people need to go and see these customers and explain to them. And never expand the company in China can do so. Because we're talking about a different language. We're talking different culture. We are talking about different way of dealing people. So we need partners from Europe, from Slovakia. So the point I try to make is that if we are talking about maybe to have a new route for CI Express train, we are actually talking about we should have a new destination for CI Express train. And then in order to have a new destination of CI Express train, we should have a new market in Europe for CI Express project. I can give you a very perfect example. It's a real example. You might probably heard that China sent several trains to Kovala, Finland last year. They maybe sent 2 or 3 trains, and then they stopped because they cannot find enough volume to load the train. And then the reason is that actually the train was sold by the Chinese company who is trying to find the customers in China for this Finland market. So you can imagine it cannot be successful. So they stopped this service. And then this year, we have another Chinese company started to work directly with a Finnish company who is actually operating in Finland for many, many years. It's actually one of the listed companies in Finland. Yeah? And then they signed an agreement that, okay, this Finnish company can develop this market in Finland, and then they can cooperate with this train company in China. And then they start to send this round-trip train, one westbound and one eastbound, from China to Helsinki, from Helsinki back to China. And then the first train is leaving China tomorrow. So this is a perfect example. So, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Slovakia has exported about $1.17 billion to China, and import about $2.5 billion from China in the first 3 quarters of last year. Yeah? Majority of this export and import volume are transportation, equipment, mechanic, electric products. These kind of goods are actually what we call high-valued goods. These kind of customers are actually ideal customers for this project. Not further mentioning that the potential market in the whole Central and Eastern Europe and Slovakia can be a good distribution center for this area. But in order to make this happen, we really need to work together. We really need your help to develop this market in this area, because for Chinese company, it is a challenge for them. Yeah? So we really need to work together. And we need a collaboration from colleagues, not only from the government, but also from the company, from the think tanks, from the academic institution, from financial institution. So we are talking about a more integrated approach for better collaboration. I'm pretty sure it will be a win-win project if we put the efforts together. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me. I will be happy to answer any question or receive some comments afterwards. Thank you once again.